Happy Thursday, folks. It is Sharla K coming live to you guys with another Forever Friends Academy episode. How are you guys doing? Happy Thursday. And my goodness, almost the end of summer. Boo. No, I don't want summer to be over, guys. I know some of you guys, some of your children have already gone back to school already, right? Like, I have one more week, y'all. But anyhow, as always a pleasure to get on here with you guys. Let me introduce myself just in case there's someone new. My name is Sharla Kornegay. I'm an author, recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy. This is my show where we talk about all relationship topics. My main mission and goal is to help people love to their fullest capacity and develop relationships that last a lifetime. Because there is so much disbelief, right, and discontent for so many around the area of relationships. And so I like to introduce fundamental principles that you can apply to all of your relationship dynamics. So not just romantic marriage relationships, but familial ones, working relationships, and most definitely, right, our relationship with the Creator, okay? So let's get into tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is what makes a relationship marriage worthy? What makes a relationship marriage worthy? And I want to basically start the conversation by asking you a question. And my question is, what would you say, or what do you think are the essential characteristics or attributes that makes and keeps a relationship marriage worthy, right? So you might be single listening to this. Definitely important if you're vetting someone who you think could be a potential partner to you. What are those qualities that you think, okay, if I see that this person is functioning in this way in the relationship, I know that my heart's safe, or it's worth the risk, right? Because relationships, there's no way to avoid the fact that it's a risk because you can't control the individual, right? You can only work on yourself and invest in the relationship, but you don't know, right, through time what will occur. So that's if you're single, but definitely if you're married, right? How many couples have you met where they've been married for a certain amount of time and you just look at them and can kind of hear in their speech that they don't seem fulfilled anymore. They don't seem enjoy or happy with the state of their relationship. So I think this also applies to marriage too, right? What are the characteristics that maintain and keep a relationship marriage worthy? Just because you're married doesn't mean that you're functioning in the relationship in the right way. So I think I got a caller. Yes, I do. Let me make sure. And I think at the tippity top. All right, let me let you in. Let me make sure that I can just hear you. All right, I think this is my nephew Josh.
Am I heard? Am I heard?
Yes, I can hear you. How you
Oh my gosh.
doing?
What's going on,
What's
Auntie?
going on? It's one of my handsome nephews. Hi, Joshua. You at the tippity
Thank
top,
you, thank you,
okay?
thank you. Thank you, thank you,
I
thank you.
just got
I had to be the
into
first
the
one.
you are. I just got into the conversation. You didn't waste no time, okay?
No, I was ready. I've been waiting since you told me. I've been waiting since you
All
told
right.
me.
Well, feel free. Tonight's topic, you can either let me know what
Mm,
your thoughts are, or you can
okay.
ask me any other relationship question that you have. But tonight's topic that I introduced is what makes a relationship marriage worthy. And I thought of this because actually your uncle was at the party, and
Mm,
there was a young gentleman who was considering marrying the lady he was with, and that was his question to me, was like, how do I know I found the one? How do I know that
mm.
this relationship that
Yeah,
I'm
that's
in
been
is
my
marriage
question.
worthy? Yeah. So
Mm.
listen, I love your generation, the 20s, okay?
Right,
So you can either
right.
let me know what your thoughts are, like what do you think,
Mm,
or what when you're looking at someone, what are the attributes
mm,
that you think makes a relationship marriage worthy? Or, like I said, if you have another question, feel free to answer. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Mm. Well, first and foremost, God. God needs to be the foundation. If He's not,
Okay.
then I don't even know what else, you know what I mean, would keep a relationship sustainable. But
Okay.
um, I think for me, and just out of my own experiences, I think understanding patterns, you know what I mean? Because there are some people who experience, or rather not experience, but see relationships from an outside perspective, whether they work or they don't.
Okay.
And and there are certain patterns and characteristics, and there's traits that happen that we could look at and be like, we don't want this, and we always look at the don't wants, so
Okay.
we try to stay away from the don't wants.
Okay.
And I think for me, because I've always saw what I don't want, I never really thought about what I did, so I always fell into the don't wants, and
Interesting.
so I think really, I would say understanding patterns in what you see in other people that you do not want, and
Okay.
be very clear about what you do, because I think that's where I'm at, is understanding what I do want, so I can,
Well,
one, speak life into that, but also be aware that if I see the things I don't want, don't sit in that, because I feel like sometimes people could see something they don't want and they'll just stay in it because they're not very clear what they do.
right, right, right. No,
But
good.
yeah.
I love your point. So I specifically like the fact that you said identify or understand patterns. And
Mm,
I've always, since I was a little girl, made sure, I don't even know how I knew. All I could say is probably just God, right? Where I always wanted to learn and observe other people's behaviorisms,
mm,
patterns, right? Because our behaviorisms
mm,
become patterns in our life. And I just remember wanting to always and seeking to look and observe, to learn from others before I got
mm,
into the scenario. So
mm.
I love
Yeah,
that. I
yeah, yeah.
think it's great because sometimes you don't even pay attention. Like,
Mm,
attentiveness is important. And
right.
sometimes because you might, like you said, want to either be in this relationship with this person, but you don't necessarily
Mm,
know what are the fundamental things that make a healthy
mm,
quality type of
right,
relationship. So you're just
right,
kind of
right,
like,
right.
you could kind of like, if there are some negative patterns that come up, if even if you're, some people aren't even looking at the patterns, right? You just kind of,
Mm,
some people just feel it out and they're just going by the feelings
right,
and the emotions.
right,
But
right, right.
even if you do kind of identify certain patterns, if you
Mm,
don't know what is supposed to come in the place of it, then you're like, okay, maybe I can kind of like navigate this and work this out.
mm.
So I like it. Okay, I
Thank you,
like the
thank you,
feedback. I like it.
thank
Thank you. Well, hopefully some of the characteristics, while you're on, before I
you.
let you go, I'll tell you the 5 that I'm going to give tonight to everybody.
Okay.
Of course, there's many more, but these are definitely, when I strip my relationship with Ben to the core, these are definitely the top 5 that have been at the center of our relationship. And number 1 is someone who loves God more than they love you,
Mm.
right? That key, more than they love you, is so important, right? Someone who loves God
Oh
more
yeah.
than they love you. And there's another part to that, and seeks God how to optimally love you,
Wait, repeat
right?
that again.
Not you taking notes and then asking the
Yes,
I'm about to
yes,
take you over this
yes,
right now.
yes, yes.
And seeks God on how to optimally love you, right? To love you best. Because
Mm,
we're complex human beings. And like, I think what you're saying is so important because it's like sometimes you don't even know. Right? Like, no
right,
matter how much,
right.
because in culture
Yeah,
they
yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
like, learn your love language, learn your attachment style, all these
Mhm,
things
mhm,
that they
mhm.
tell you,
Right.
it does not matter. By the time you get into that relationship, how you have to navigate it between the two of you will bring out so many other aspects of yourself,
Yeah,
right?
that culture is not even talking about.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
because of that, I think, and no matter how much enthralled you are with a person or how much you want them to be enthralled with you and say, "Oh, I want you to feel like I'm your everything," we
Mhm,
we
mhm,
we were not
mhm,
We were not made to bear that weight, right? That position is only for
Right.
God. And if
Mm-hmm.
someone loves God more than they love you, when there's times where you're not at your best, where you don't know what's going
Mm-hmm.
on with you, then they can come to
Mm-hmm.
God to seek, right, guidance of, okay,
Right.
how do I love him at this stage of what he's going, when he doesn't even know what
Mm-hmm.
he's going
Right.
through, right? God, like
Right.
how,
Right.
so I
Right.
have to,
Right. Right.
so I have found out that definitely has helped me, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your uncle and I have been together since teenagers. I've known him since 13, started our forever friendship at 17.
That is
So
a
I've
long time.
seen,
Wow.
yes, it is longer alive, like together
Mm-hmm.
than us by ourselves. So
Right.
that has been, oh, such a critical
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
right, I had to know who, I had to navigate that. I had to see him grow into
Mm-hmm.
all of those phases and definitely going to God to figure out what was the best way to understand him, to engage
Mm-hmm.
with him, to love him through those
Right.
stages definitely helped. And I'm sure vice versa on his end too. Right. So that's
Mm-hmm.
number one. I'm going to give you this list. I'm not take you off because I ain't going to have you make this like a personal study session for you.
I know, right? I'm loving it, so I'm taking it while
I
I got
know you really are. Two, second is someone who has your overall well-being in mind. Someone who
it.
has your overall well-being in mind. And this might seem pretty simple, right? Like, why would you be
Mm-hmm.
with someone who doesn't have your overall well-being in mind? It's this addendum
Mm-hmm.
part. Someone who has your overall well-being in mind, detached
Mm-hmm.
from how they desire for you to show up, detach from their desires. That's the
Mm-hmm.
hard thing, right? Like, I can say, yeah, I have your best interest in mind. I think about your well-being, but oftentimes we say that because I want you to be at your best so you can show up for me. You know what I
Right. Right.
mean?
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I always say this when it comes to relationships is that, especially if they're God centered relationships, I care about your Ben fulfilling his purpose here, and that's number one. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what supportive space, how can I provide that, and same for him towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy. We can get very possessive, we can get controlling, we can have our selfish
Mm-hmm.
angle,
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Right.
and it can have very good justifications to it,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can find someone who says, man, I just want you to be fulfilled, I want you to fulfill your purpose in life, regardless of the
Mm-hmm.
desires that I have for you, whether it's I
Mm-hmm.
want you to be my
Mm-hmm.
husband, whether I want you to, show up in my life in this way. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a private session with my group coaching yesterday, and I gave them the example of my mother because it was the best example that I can think of. She, due to her mental issue, she couldn't be in my life at, like, as I would say, ideally as a mother, like consistently, but I still
Mm-hmm.
always care about her well-being. Like, I always care about her best
Mm-hmm.
interests,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Right.
sometimes if
Right.
someone going through that, you might have a ought against that parent, like, you didn't show up, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't do this, you didn't,
Mm-hmm.
so then
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
Mm-hmm.
about your best interest because you didn't do this for me,
Right.
right? And it kind
Right.
of
Right.
becomes this tit for tat type of thing.
Right.
And
Right.
relationships most definitely can be that way, right? So to find somebody
Mm-hmm.
who can generally say, like, no, I'm looking out for your well-being, detached from my desires. I can put that
Mm-hmm.
aside to make sure that, you're good. So yeah. So that's number two. And for the new people coming in, Mr. De Jesus, Emily, Mama Bear, thank you for joining. We are talking about what makes a relationship marriage worthy. And the question I ask is, what are the essential attributes you think will make and maintain a relationship marriage worthy? So feel free to chime in. I've been doing my list. Number three, I love this one, someone who is accountable and faithful. If there's no accountability, there will be no security or trust, right? You need trust in a relationship. And I always say accountability means account for what you have done and account for what you can do to improve,
Right.
right, the situation. And listen, I will be the first one to out myself. I definitely have had my moments where I didn't want to be accountable for what I have done, and I definitely didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
be accountable for what I could do to make something
Right.
better. But without
Mm-hmm.
that, how do we create an environment of trust? Like, if you're with somebody, they're gonna be an accountable person. They're not shying away
Right.
from whatever it is, challenge that they have to meet about themselves. Then yeah, I can.
Right. Right.
There's trust there. I can feel
Mm-hmm.
secure, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the last two, but definitely not the least, someone who reminds you of fulfillment even when happiness fades. That's personally one of my favorites. I'll say it again.
I
Someone
like
who
that.
reminds you of fulfillment even when happiness fades. So important. Anybody who has been in any kind of long term relationship knows that emotions, their ebbs and flows, they come and they go. Definitely when it comes to happiness. But if you have somebody who kind of reminds you every step of the way of fulfillment, and so a simple example I always give is if have you volunteered anywhere, Joshua, to like, I don't know, give food to the homeless, or there's people who do missionary work.
Haven't. No,
No?
I
Okay.
haven't done that.
Well, anyone who has done something like that, of that nature, when they go and do it, they might not feel happy at the things that they see, right? Like if you're going across, to a third world country to help out, maybe you see that they don't have clean water. Maybe you see the damage and the destruction due to war, or whatever it is, right? It's not going to make them happy, but they are going to be fulfilled because they know
Fulfilled,
what
right?
they're doing is serving a greater good. And oftentimes, in relationships, that's what's going to happen, right? Like maybe there may be seasons where you don't feel happy, but you can remind each other of the fulfillment of what you are doing, right? Like maybe it's one day when you get married and you have your wife and she sees that you're like trying to aim for a certain target within your success and in your career. You might have to do things that you don't like to do, right? Like you're not
Right,
happy
right,
about
right,
doing it,
right.
whether it's training for a course or etc. But if you go home and your wife reminds you like, no, babe, you on the right track. Like this is you fulfilling your purpose. This is what you were born to do. This is what you were meant,
Right,
right? So
right,
she's
right, right,
reminding
right.
you every step of the way, like fulfillment over happiness, or be anchored in fulfillment, so when you get the happiness, right, it's not, you can experience it in the most optimal way. So that's the best example I can give about that. But super important, because we're not all like, well, I haven't met anyone who's just like, oh, I'm happy all the time.
All the time, right?
Like all the time.
Yeah,
All
for real.
the
Because
time.
even the people who be smiling, they definitely be keeping the most straightest of
Right, you know what I
faces.
mean? Because there's pain, there's suffering in this life, So
Right, right.
that's guaranteed, right? You're not going to always be happy. And last but definitely not least, someone who is kind and merciful. Someone who is kind and merciful. I was just live on TikTok, because I go live on there before I come on these platforms, and I stated that there's a quote that I love that says, "Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see." It's one of my favorite quotes,
Right.
and it basically is saying that kindness is so impactful and penetrating that if there's any kind of disability, any kind of impediment, it is a language. It is a universal language that all of us can speak, no matter what, right? The degree
Right.
of difference that we have. And you would be surprised if there's a conflict in a relationship, what one kind act can do. You know what I mean? And oftentimes we're just not kind to each other. Like, you know what I mean? Often we're just really not kind. But
Right,
we
right,
want that
right.
one of a kind love or one of a kind experience. I literally wrote one of my first blogs and articles when I decided that I was going to after I launched my book, 7 Stages of Loving Relationships. I wrote a blog that said that, like, one of a kind love. And it was really a play on words, because I was saying, if you want that, you have to start with being kind to yourself, because oftentimes we're not kind to ourselves. Like
Right,
all of the
right, right.
disbelief, all of the self doubt, all of the, you know what I mean? Like your own words to your internal self,
Right.
will
And
create.
that's just what you speak life into yourself.
Absolutely right. Like
Right.
what you want this person to love you, but then you're not even assessing the internal dialogue that you have over and over again to yourself, and then not think about what kind of environment it's creating in the relationship. So that's what the article was about. So definitely someone who's kind and merciful, that starts with you first, right? Because then
Right.
it's going to flow out in
That's
the
true.
relationship that you have. And merciful, oh, boy, do we need mercy. Right? Because
Right.
we're not
Right.
perfect. We're flawed individuals, so mistakes
Mhm.
are going to happen. And I think, mercy is forgiveness and grace put together. Kindness, forgiveness, and grace put together equals mercy. So it's like, just be ready and willing to forgive. I'm
Right,
sure you've
right,
heard
right,
this
right.
many times over and again. Unforgiveness hurts you more than the other person,
Oh,
right? So
oh,
it doesn't mean that you don't assess who are the people in your life and who are serving you, and things like that. But at the end of the day, you don't want to hold yourself imprisoned and captive based on whatever offense was, experienced.
was
So
brought on. Right, right, right.
yeah. So if there's an atmosphere of kindness and mercy in the relationship, then it's like, okay, we can the forgiveness one to another can get us through or get us past this. So those are
That's
my
good.
five. Those are my
I like those
five.
five. I've written all them down.
Good, good, good.
Thinking that
Any of them, anyone stand out to you where you're like, I'm really good at this one, or I could be a little better on this one. And I'll say it again for the
number
people who are
number two,
number two, really
someone
someone
who
who has
has
your
your
whole
well-being in mind
in
detached from their desires.
mind. You're saying, is that one that stuck out, or is that one you're saying I need to be better, or I'm really good at it?
That's one that stuck out, and I gotta be better of.
Okay, okay,
Mm,
okay, okay.
mm,
That's honest. That's honest. That's
yeah,
it's not easy,
honest. Yeah,
especially that detached
no,
from your desire, right? Yeah,
right, right, right,
to
right.
show up
Because
in your
it's
life.
it's still almost it's still like your spirit and your flesh at work at that in that sense. You know what I mean? Because it's like you still got to detach what you want and look at what's really in front of you. You know what I mean? In that sense, and really put that forth rather than just what you want. Because even I mean, you could take it down to something just so regular. Like I've heard people say like, you may want this, but do you need this? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think everything you're saying is absolutely right.
Hmm.
For sure. It's not easy at all to do.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, yeah.
No. Not easy at all to do. And you know what I thought about as you were just talking, and I didn't think about it like because I've
Hmm.
done in my private coaching session, my group coaching session,
Hmm.
talked about this yesterday. We didn't get through the whole
Hmm.
thing, but when you just said what you said, I just thought about the Lord's Prayer. Where the Lord's Prayer
Hmm.
says, "Thy kingdom come, Thy will be
That
done."
will be
I
done.
never
Yep.
thought about it in the in that way,
Oh
like
wow.
in that way
Right.
towards God. Like what you were just saying made me think of that,
Mm-hmm,
because
hmm.
sometimes it's
Hmm.
that fighting of like,
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah,
I do
yeah,
my
yeah.
will or
That's
do
so
I do
true.
your
Wow.
will? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, that's so
and
true. Right.
yeah, so it's like,
Right. Wow.
man,
Yeah.
yeah, I did not think of it like that, but only until you kind of like, elaborated on it in that way that did I think
Hmm. Hmm.
of that. Because I had
Hmm.
played them a
Hmm.
snippet of I think Megan Good and Jonathan Major. She's an actress for anybody who's listening who doesn't know who she is. And she was
Okay.
married to Devon Franklin, who was a pastor producer, but then they divorced after 10 years. And she just did this podcast on Lecrae's podcast, the rapper, Christian rapper. I don't know if I should put him in a box in that
Hmm.
way. But anyway, um, the rapper Lecrae, and the snippet that I showed them, she was saying that after she got divorced, she was so mad at God. Like she felt like she was
Hmm.
bamboozled by him, because she was like, I felt like I did this, that, and the third. And my
Hmm.
worst fear, because she said my worst fear was to get divorced like my parents did after 10 years or at the 10-year
Hmm.
mark. And she said that's exactly what happened. Like my fear came true. And she
Hmm.
said
Hmm.
in the state when her new husband now came in her life, she didn't feel like she was in a state where she could pray to God because of how she felt about it. But it came to her where she said, if even though I can't pray for myself right now, I can pray for him, because she was, they got together when he was like in a situation going to court and things like that, and then pretty much Hollywood had written him off. And she
Hmm.
said when she came to pray and intercede on his behalf, it brought her back to God. So I thought that was
Wow.
so powerful and
Wow.
such a good
Yeah.
example of, someone caring about someone's well-being detached from
Hmm.
the desire of how you
Hmm.
want, because how
Hmm.
many times do we go
Right.
in prayer, especially if you are in something like in the relationship,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
someone did something wrong to you, but you go to God and pray in a good manner for
Hmm.
them. You know what I mean? Not like, oh
Right.
God,
Right.
this
Right.
person's doing this and that.
Right.
God, don't you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you see all this is happening?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
it.
No,
Fix
for
it, God.
real. For real.
rather
That
than
honestly
like,
shows your heart posture. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So it takes
yeah.
a lot of humility and a lot of godly nature to do that, especially if
Hmm.
you're in a
That's
relationship.
true.
Imagine if your partner did something against you and you go to God and all you're giving in your prayer is thanksgiving and praise and gratitude for
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
takes, then you'd be like demonstrating Christ for real, right? It's like what
Hmm.
Christ said,
Hmm.
Father,
Hmm.
forgive them
Uh,
for they know not what they do, but they're
mm.
crucifying him. But that's what,
Yeah.
you make me think about all that, Joshua. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
wasn't thinking about all that before. I was thinking of it
That's so
like
funny. Yeah.
relational, towards
Mm-hmm,
human to
mm-hmm,
human,
hmm.
person to person. But man, I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
thinking how
yeah.
much. Yeah, that includes that. So
Wow.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah,
Yes,
that's really
yes,
good.
definitely. I'm glad I was the first one, Auntie. Hands
You
down.
were.
I'm,
Thank
gl- I'm
you. For
glad.
sure. You done
I'm glad
stayed
I was
on the
the
whole
first
show.
one.
I'm about to get off. You done did. This the whole show. Ain't gonna be nobody after you. No, I
That's so
appreciate
funny.
you. Thank you.
Of
You made the
course,
show go
Auntie.
swiftly.
Anytime.
I
Anytime.
appreciate it. So take it and hopefully, talk to your friends about it.
Yes,
And
for
hopefully,
sure.
it'll
Facts.
help you in your
I'm about to
application.
bring somebody with me the next time.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully you can apply it. It's a good conversation starter, you know?
Of course, right? For real.
Yeah, but I appreciate you.
Of
Thank
course, Auntie.
you
I love
for
you
coming
so
on.
much.
Love you too. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, Auntie.
All right. Oh no, I kind of just took them off. Huh? Sorry. I do that all the time. Such a bad habit. um, but yeah, so my nephew just took up the whole thing, right? Let me see if I missed any comments or newcomers. I don't think I did. Um, no, I didn't. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't because I was so locked in talking to Joshua that I wasn't looking to see if I had other comments coming in. So let me just make sure. I did miss one. Hey, Dallas. Oh, he just said he loves us. Love you too, Dallas. I appreciate you for popping in. But yeah, folks, that's pretty much all that I had to give to you guys tonight. Having that, it's so much easier when you're talking to someone else. I don't feel like I know I'm talking to you guys when you chat back to me and you write in the chat, but when you're talking to someone and it's like conversation, it flows so much faster and easier. So yeah, that's basically it. So let me just review and then we'll get off and you guys hopefully will have a nice restful night. So again, tonight's topic is and was what makes a relationship marriage worthy, right? So if you're vetting someone, if you are trying to see who could be a potential partner that okay, I can see myself being with this person for a lifetime because these are some of the characteristics that they possess, and I see that they're demonstrating it consistently in the relationship. So numero uno, someone who loves God more than they love you, so that when there are challenging, hard times, they will be able to not go to what our nature normatively does, which is like, okay, you offended me, I'm offended. So I don't know if I could love you anymore through this, right? If they love God more than they love you, then if there's any kind of reason that changes about the way, or what drew you to them and them to you, then they can go to God. They seek God's guidance on how to love you in the most optimal way, right? And how to pull from the godly nature, and as we call it, fruits of the spirit, right? To be able to love you even in the hard times or through the challenging times of life. Number two, someone who has your well-being in mind, detached from their desires, detached from the way that they desire for you to show up in their life, right? So means no matter what, I want you to fulfill your purpose here. I want you to succeed. It's not just, I want you to be this way because when you're this way, it feeds me. No, I understand that outside of how you've chosen to show up in my life, you are a child of God. You have a purpose. You have things that you're destined to do here. And I am not going to let any selfishness, any ego get in the way of that, right? Number three, someone who's accountable and faithful. So important. We want to be accountable. Account for what you've done, account for what you can do to improve the relationship, the circumstance, the situation, etc. And someone who's faithful, right? Accountability and faithfulness creates an environment of trust in relationship. And you need trust because when we have an environment of trust, then we have security in the relationship. And number 4, which is one of my favorites, someone who reminds you of fulfillment even when happiness fades. It's worth saying it again. Someone who reminds you of fulfillment, even when happiness fades. So important because, man, life, as they say, right? Lifes. I say it all the time on the podcast, like so many unpredictable curveballs, whether it's losing loved ones, whether it's just there's no way to get around it, right? We will experience some type of pain and suffering in this life, right? That where the happiness will not be at its most heightened point, or we moments where we probably don't even feel it at all, right? But if you're with someone who can remind you of fulfillment, then it'll give you, right, the faith to continue on, to endure, to know that the circumstance you're in is not going to consume you or overwhelm you. You can always, right, continue on and fulfill your purpose here. And last but not least, someone who's kind and merciful. Kindness, kindness, kindness. Don't underestimate what a kind act or kindness can do within your relationship and just as you navigate in the world. And listen, all of us need mercy. As I was just talking to one of my handsome nephews, and it didn't dawn on me, I remembered that when Christ was on the cross, he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And man, listen, I can tell you, it's definitely hard when someone has done something to offend me to now go to God and pray on their behalf in a positive way, right? Like if I go and pray, I want to go down the laundry list. Like they did this, they did that, they did that. Father, do you know? I want to be like David in some of the Psalms because he's like that. He's like, Father, on one end, kill them and then ask for mercy for himself, right? So I'm not even, no shade to David because that's more like me. That's what I would feel more comfortable doing. But, right, Christ is the ultimate example. Like, yeah, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, even in the moments of me experiencing the pain and suffering for their ignorance. I'm still going to come to you on their behalf, right? So if we have that in a relationship where you're offended by something that your partner did, man, that would definitely be Christ-like to pray for them and not bringing the fault, but also just asking God, right? Or even if you're bringing up the fault of what occurred, asking God to heal or cover them would be also, a demonstration of that. So definitely these things are easier said than done, right? But as I like to say, when you listen to my podcast or you're listening to my coaching advice, it's kind of like where you reach for the stars, and even if you land on the moon, you're good, These are the ultimate principles, that are very much steeped in God. So it does require, you can't do it by your own, on your own. That's the whole point of it. You need God to do it. You need his spirit to move through you to be able to exemplify and live in this way. Because without it, man, listen, you hurt me, I hurt you, an eye for an eye. But real love moves beyond that. So if we're designed to experience love at its most optimal way, then as I don't know if anybody's listening to Dave Ramsey, but he says if you want to live like no one else, you have to live like no one else, right? Meaning you have to do certain things that aren't quote unquote just normal to be able to live like no one else. So taking on some of these principles and fundamental truths is you saying, I want the relationship that I have to be in its own lane, no matter how much of a challenge or how much it will require from me and the both of us together, right? So that's it, folks. Thank you guys, as always, for coming on to me. Emily, Mr. De Jesus, Mama Bear, all the Dallas. Love you guys. And, of course, my handsome nephew, Joshua, for coming on live and face screen to screen with me. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be on next Sunday with you guys and see what we'll talk about then. All right. But you guys have a great night. And as always, thank you for your time and your energy. You could have been anywhere else. And I always say you came on with me. So I so appreciate it. You didn't have to come in. So whatever time you took, I appreciate it. Until next time, always remember to live to love freely. Oh, thank you, my nephew. Love you, Joshua. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. All right. You guys have a blessed night. Until next time. Bye.